Murphy, there are mixed feelings here tonight in Austin about today's inquiry into the Texas Liquor Control Board. Some say it was a long time coming, others say it was a short time in duration. There were no subpoenas issued, and there were only 5 out of 500 witnesses who appeared. After the hearing today, Assistant Attorney General Nola White issued a prepared statement saying that his department and the DPS would get to the bottom of things as soon as possible. Reactions tonight from Dallas Senators Jim Wade and Oscar Mozzie were different and significant. For the first time since the scandal began, LCB Administrator Coke Stevenson Jr. talked to me after the hearing.
I think the fact today that only 4 or 5 witnesses showed up indicates that we have a pretty good department.
Are you worried about the TLCB, how it's going to look next year?
Well, what do you mean by how it's going to look
next year? Well, there's a lot of talk of reorganizing the Liquor Control Board, and then some Senate members, and a few of them are pushing in that direction.
Well, of course, I know nothing about that.
Are you investigating this alleged scandal out in Odessa?
We're investigating everything statewide, yes.
Now, are you confident that all the facts that you know and are known were brought before the hearing today?
So far as I know.
Murphy, there are still many questions left here this evening, but if one should stand out, it would be, will the investigation be buried in obscurity in a prolonged investigation, or will grand juries in Dallas, Tyler, Odessa, Austin, and in other counties keep alive the fire that was started in that now famous pamphlet, which read, "The Baptists are right"? Mike Lee, Channel 8 News, Austin.
In all, the President has included 16 conservation construction projects in his new budget unveiled this afternoon. 4 of them affect the Dallas-Fort Worth area. On our map, this is Dallas, this is Fort Worth, this is the Red River. Cooper Reservoir, a new lake in northeast Texas, will cost $3 million of construction money during this first budget year, and some of the water from Cooper Reservoir will be funneled into the Irving water supply. Lavon Reservoir will be expanded considerably at the tune of $4,200,000. The Clear Fork extension of the Fort Worth floodway will be improved at a cost of $1,400,000 to help prevent flooding in North Richland Hills, and several bridges will be built along the Trinity River at a cost of $1 million if the President's budget recommendations are approved. Additionally, some other projects are in for planning or survey. For example, in the Garland area, Duck Creek, long a sore spot during the spring floods, will be planned at $30,000 for improvements. White Rock Creek, another flood spot in the Dallas area, will be surveyed at the cost of $30,000. And to the north, Lake Texoma will have $75,000 worth of money put into planning for additional recreational areas. So counting construction, planning, and surveying, almost $10 million of the President's budget is slated for projects affecting the Dallas-Fort Worth area. This is Travis Lynn, Channel 8 News.
I think this is probably a nationwide problem because so many people when something is so-called free federal money, which is our tax money being spent, and they look at a before and after picture, they say, well, this is so much better than it was before. But this is not the question, whether this is better than it was before any work was done. The question is, has there been $3,000 worth of work done here? Has this work been done to standard? And at this time, is this house a standard dwelling and meet the building codes? And certainly it does not.
It seems obvious at this time that the investigation has already formed three distinct conclusions on the part of its participants. Harris Hoover, councilman, chairman of the committee, appears against the program and against the administration of it. Dr. Edward Gwynn appears for the program and non-committal concerning this particular incident. Mrs. Nancy Perot, interested citizen who instigated the investigation, for the program but against the administration of it, and Ira Kersnick, third member of the committee, who remains non-committal at this time.
By noon today, only 5 out of 500 prospective witnesses had shown up to speak their piece. Dallas self-styled investigator Smokey Joe Smith, indicted last week in Dallas on 6 counts of theft, was among those 495 who chose to stay home. Some say it was because Dallas VA Assistant District Attorney Bill Alexander was here to question Smith and anyone else from Dallas. The drama went something like this. Third witness, Dallas restaurant operator J.R. Abdo, who says the LCB is in cahoots with a Dallas beer manufacturer. Abdo says that he was continually harassed by agents, one of them Bill Gross, because he sold Coors beer at prices lower than the distributor recommended. Next enters ex-agent Gross, denying the harassment charge by Abdo, but taking careful aim at Mr. Stevenson.
And when we went back out, we had a handbill was placed under my windshield on my car. And I guess all of you see the handbill. That's what I supposedly got fired for putting them out. That it said right up at the top of it, said Coke and his drunkards and the Baptist are right and all that malarkey that they put on there. So we showed it to the senator, and the senator said, yes, I've seen one, and go ahead. So then the next morning, that evening, they called us and asked us to be at the office next morning at 9 o'clock. And we did, and Mr. Dale asked Valenta and myself to resign. And we asked him what for, and he said, I don't know. You know more about that than I do. So we told him we wasn't going to resign. So then later he said he talked to Mr. Stevenson and he suspended us until the next Tuesday because we had put out these handbills.
Gross's companion in crisis has always been ex-agent Ray Valenta. Valenta said that all he ever wanted in the whole thing was better working conditions. Valenta was shortly cross-examined by Dallas Assistant DA Alexander about his connections with Smokey Joe Smith. Alexander hinted strongly that both Gross and Valenta could receive subpoenas in Dallas soon. According to Board Chairman W.D. Noel, all information will be turned over to the DPS, the Attorney General's office, and will be dealt with promptly. At 10 this evening, an analysis of the hearing and some reactions to it. Mike Lee, Channel 8 News, Austin.
Mrs. Nancy Perot recently leveled a charge before the City Council that the Neighborhood Improvement Program, which was designed to assist homeowners in improving rundown properties, is being used to window dress older homes and to further involve the owners in increased poverty, debt, and despair. Such an instance is that of Mrs. A.D. Carrizales, a widow of almost 10 years who was required to finance improvements to her home at 3516 May Street in the amount of $3,112. Mrs. Carrizales complied and was given a $1,500 grant by the Office of Housing and Urban Development and a long-term low-interest loan on the balance. Now, Mrs. Carrizales has 17 years of additional debt, and there is a question as to whether or not her home has been improved. Mrs. Perot thinks otherwise.
The front porch should have been repaired, and it is not. There are large cracks in the front porch. Then I walk on a rug of cheap grade, according to today's standards, and the floor moves under your feet. This would indicate to me that there was no termiting done and that they were supposed to have solidified the house, but they did not. And then as we move to the back room, I find that a window was removed, and there's a little room there that was once a dining room that has no window at all. Right now, to date, excluding taxes, excluding interest, approximately $6,700. I don't believe Mrs. Carrizales would be able to get more than $2,000 if she were to sell her house.
Channel 8 News has investigated some of Mrs. Perot's allegations, and we found them to contain credence and substance. And we asked the question, was the program designed for the people, or were the people designed for the program?
What I intend to do about this, the City Council, if they do not move to clean up whatever is the matter within their own ranks at City Hall, then I intend to either take it to the grand jury, the Crime Commission, and I'm perfectly willing to go to Washington if necessary. I believe they'd listen.
Fred Hatton, Channel 8 News, Fort Worth.